blasting through the depths of outer space.
Hello, I'm alive. I don't know what's going on.
Damn you all to hell!
It's the Solo Sci-Fi Podcast. Okay, so this is episode 100 of the Solar One Sci-Fi Podcast. I'm Michael Ball, and I'm joined once again by my co-host, sci-fi expert extraordinaire, Martin Fowler. Hello, Martin.
Hello. And in the other box over there, it's like Celebrity Squares, this, isn't it? We have Robert, we have Tom, and of course our guest, Vic. Welcome to the Solo One Sci-Fi Podcast. I was going to say your second name, but I can't pronounce it.
Oh,
right.
no.
I'm sorry. He told me what. I know I'm going to get it wrong. So
Vignogna.
Vignogna.
Vignogna. I'm sorry.
You got to think Italian. You got to think Italian.
I know. I was told you were French, actually.
Like I said earlier,
I'm a very proud Italian. I'm a very proud Italian.
No, I
watched an interview that he did a while back, and he said, "Well, actually, my name is pronounced." And he said, "When his parents came to States,
right,
Vignogna."
I love it. Yeah. It's the GN combination.
Yes,
makes the nya sound like lasagna.
Oh, yes. Okay.
Yes.
How about
I
this
thought
one?
about that, you see. It's all become clear now.
Bologna.
Filet
Filet mignon.
Well, I went to Italy a couple of years ago, and I loved it out there. It's a lovely place to go. It's a really great place to explore. Went to Venice, and I had to go on one of those what are those boat things called?
Gondola.
Gondolas. And I'm terrified
Venice.
of water. I'm nervous in water, and I was holding on to the sides, and this guy saying, "Don't hold the sides of the gondola because you're going to hit other people." And I was like, and just for the family snaps kind of thing. So, but it was great. It's a great place to go. I love to go back there, so it's cool.
Yes.
So, so Vic, so basically, thank you so much for joining us. So, I guess my first question is, how on earth did you get about creating a Star Trek series?
Well, since I was your age, or probably longer, because I'm probably older than many of you, I loved the original series. I discovered it when I was about 9 years old. It was right when my parents divorced and my dad left, and so I was kind of hungry for a role model, an escape, a father figure, and I discovered Star Trek, and I was obsessed. I drove my mother insane. It was just me and my mom, right, living in this little apartment, and I drove her insane. Not only would I lay on the floor every day at 5 o'clock and watch Star Trek on a black and white 19-inch television that actually sat on the floor in the living room because we didn't have a table for it.
Right.
But I would sit there and I would make communicators and phasers out of anything I could find around the house. Cardboard, duct tape.
I did the same.
I had a tape recorder as a tricorder.
Yes. That's the other obsessed thing I used to do. I used to take a cassette recorder and put it by the speaker of the television and record the episodes. And then I put the tape player under my pillow at night and listen to the episodes as I went to sleep.
It's the same for me. My parents divorced and Star Trek became this focus. I used to drive my mother mad with it.
I got my mom to. My mom used to know how to. She used to make clothes and things, so she had a sewing machine. So I used to try to get her to make me uniforms, and finally she's like, "I'm going to teach you how to use a sewing machine because I don't want to make your stupid Star Trek uniforms anymore."
Oh man, I stole my sister's hairnet. You know those hairnets that you put around your eyes like Geordie LaForge, and it turned out that that's actually very. I think that's actually they just painted those.
Yeah, that's
so I had the real thing.
Wow.
Oh my gosh. So anyway, I was really into it through my teen years, and then life moves on, college and all kinds of things, and it was always something I had a great love for, but I kind of moved on. It took a back seat. And then about 15 years ago, a woman who she was the leader of my online fan club.
Right.
I do a lot of voice acting work for animated.
Yes, I've seen. Yes,
Yeah, I've seen it. Yeah.
Yep.
So I had a fan base from that, and this girl who ran my fan club called me one day and she said, "Hey, you're a big Star Trek fan, aren't you?" And I said, "Yeah, when I was a little boy, like I lived for that show." And she said, "Did you know that there are people online that make like fan Star Trek episodes?" And I was like, "You're kidding." And I looked it up and I found one. We're not going to talk about any other fan productions, but I'm just going to suffice it to say, I reached out to them. They invited me to come play a role. And I went, and I was excited to see the sets, you know, to walk onto the sets and stuff. But I immediately noticed, as a person who has spent most of my life in film production, acting, directing, editing, writing, blocking, lighting, makeup, wardrobe, props, all of the elements of production, camera, I immediately noticed that these people really didn't know what they were doing.
Right.
And I don't say that in a disparaging way. I say it as just a simple matter of knowledge.
Right.
They were fans and they meant well, but they didn't know what they were doing. They didn't have their lines memorized. The camera angles were not good. Nobody, like I said, nobody knew their lines. You know, lighting, several different elements. I thought to myself, I walked away from that experience thinking, wow, this could be done so much better.
Yeah.
And then fast forward a few years, and I thought, you know what? One time in my life, I would like the chance to pay tribute to Bill Shatner and Star Trek and the show that I grew up loving. The show that inspired me to do a lot of the things creatively that I do now professionally.
Right.
So I rented a building and we got a whole bunch of people together and we rebuilt the entire soundstage from the original series. And I flew all my I cast everybody. I crewed the whole thing, asked my friends to do this and do this and do that. And we all came together and we made Pilgrim of Eternity.
Because I saw that some of the crew have been in other Star Trek productions as well, which I suppose you win by association. You know people who have been involved in different productions, and that's partly what led you to choose some of those actors.
Well, so, in most cases, Michael, I chose actors that I either was personal friends with, voice actors, other voice actors.
Oh, friends, yeah.
Or in many cases, in the vast majority of cases of our guest stars, I chose people that I had become friends with from doing Comic-Cons with them. Okay. Like Louis Ferrigno and I became good friends, and Aaron Gray and Gigi Edgley and Claire Kramer and all these people, we became friends doing Comic-Cons. And so when I had a character for a story that I thought they would be good for, I would reach out to them and say, hey, you remember that Star Trek thing I told you I was doing? Would you be willing to come down and play a role in it? And they're like,
yeah. Turned up. You even had the Sixth Doctor. You had Colin Baker as well.
Yes!
As well.
Yeah.
And Perry as well. Nicola Bryant. I
can't
believe that.
You've got
his companion, Nicola Bryant.
I know Nicola Bryant from the last two episodes.
And Vic, you've got a who's who of guest stars. Have you had notable people ask you if they could be on the show? Just say like bump your elbow and say, hey, I want a part. Yes. Give me a part.
Yes, I have. And unfortunately, I care enough about the end product to not cast somebody either that doesn't fit a role.
Yeah, I can understand that.
Or that I don't have something for. You know what I mean? Like, it's incredibly flattering and honoring when a notable person who has their own big following says, hey man, I'd love to be in your Star Trek production. You know, why don't you put me in your show? And in my mind, I'm like, I don't have anything for you. I'm very honored that they want to be a part of it, but sometimes you don't have something. And you don't force that kind of thing.
Yeah.
If the story is the most important thing, if the quality of the production and the quality of the storytelling is the most important thing, then you don't force people into roles just because, oh, well, they're well known. Well,
yeah. How did Grant become part of the cast. I
First of all,
broke my heart.
Let me tell you,
my heart when he passed away.
I love Grant. He was one of the kindest men I've ever known.
Right.
Grant and I did Dragon Con together in Atlanta.
Oh, okay.
And we actually judged the masquerade together, the cosplay contest. It was him and his sidekick, Carrie, the girl.
Oh, wow.
And me. The three of us were judges of the masquerade. And so we're sitting at a judge's table all night for 4 hours, judging the costume contest, and we became friends. And then like 2 years later, I went to a party in LA and Grant was there. And I'm like, Grant! And we caught up and we kind of caught each other up on what we were doing. And he said, what are you up to? And I pulled my phone out and I showed him some pictures of the sets that we were building.
Oh, that must be great.
And Grant was like, oh my gosh, I love the original series of Star Trek. And suddenly in the back of my mind, I thought,
you had this like inspirational moment.
I haven't, I had not cast Sulu yet.
Oh, of course.
And so I'm like, would you at all be interested in doing this? And he was like, heck yes, I would. Yeah. So he came on board, pardon the pun, and was absolutely.
He was really good. Yeah, he was brilliant.
The greatest boy, the kindest guy.
When I started, when I came onto it on YouTube, the first episode, I watched it and I was completely blown away by what I was watching.
Oh, me too.
This is like the lost fourth season of the original series, and I was hooked. And I know that you could only release the episodes every couple of months, but my God, my friends and they all we're all there that night. It's coming this week. We're all sat around YouTube waiting for that moment.
Gosh, I'm honored. Thank you. I love it.
Honestly, and I have to say that the final episode, that's how me and Michael met through watching Star Trek Continues.
Really?
What
happened was,
no, you tell him.
I was going to say, Martin reviewed the last episode. And I was looking, when I saw the last episode, I was really blown away by it, To Boldly Go Part 2.
Yeah.
And I was looking for other people to get the reactions. And then you popped up as a recommendation. And then before I knew it, and I knew you did occasional live streams, we got in touch. And then as it goes, you start to get to know people.
Yeah.
And then when I set up this podcast, you very kindly joined me, and we've been doing this ever since, 100 episodes.
Yeah.
So thanks to the Continues.
Yeah, it really has. It's given me so much, honestly. I know there's the multi-million-dollar productions of Star Trek, but what you did surpasses all of that.
Yeah.
You touched the spirit of Star Trek for me. And when the final episode is up there with that scene when Luke Skywalker appeared in the Mando, because when you open that door, just your outline, right? And the bridge was all quiet with the noises. There was tears down my eyes. Honestly, that was one of the greatest scenes of Star Trek I have ever seen. It was Star Trek.
To see Admiral Kirk take one
on the
last
bridge.
walk
I know. I couldn't believe it.
Yeah,
that was
it was just, I was just stunned at what I was watching. And what you created has inspired so many people. I just want to say it blew me away.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I want you guys to know something. I tell my friends this a lot. I never created this for any kind of recognition. In fact, I think we all know that Star Trek fans can be very opinionated.
Critical, yes.
They can be very particular about the thing their nostalgic childhood love if you don't treat it properly.
Yeah.
And so I had no illusions about how it would be received. I did it because I wanted to say thank you to Star Trek. I made one episode because I wanted to fulfill my childhood dream of playing my childhood hero, and I wanted to make an episode that resonated with a good story and a good theme, the way that I remember Star Trek doing for me. I had no illusions about it being popular or how it would be received. You don't think about that. You just do your best and put it out there. and come what may, right? Just let it, whatever's going to happen is going to happen.
What happens, yeah.
So I was beyond humbled and beyond gratified when people enjoyed what we did so much that, I mean, I funded me and another guy funded the whole thing up through the first episode. Like, I paid to fly everybody down, and I paid to put them in hotels, and I paid to feed them every day, and I paid to rent the camera equipment and pay the rental on the building and buy all the raw materials to build the sets. So right up to the first episode, there was no crowdfunding. It was all a labor of love, a passion project. And once we released the first one, it was well received. I thought, well, now we have a proof of concept. Now we have an actual finished product that we can say, if you like this, this is what we can do.
This is what we can do, yeah. This is what we can show you, yeah.
Yes. As opposed to somebody who raises tons of money with no real proof that they can do anything, and then you wonder whatever happened to all that money and whatever happened to this project.
But I suppose it's also partly confidence. Once you've seen that the first episode was well received, you think, well, hang on, this has actually gone down really well in the Trek community. I know what I can do now. I've got my crew. Let's see how we go. And I assume that's how you proceeded.
It is how I proceeded, but there's something very, very important that was the most important thing to me. Story.
Yes.
Let me say this as strongly as I can. Anybody can go to Lowe's or Home Depot and buy a bunch of lumber and build a set. Anybody can put on a costume. But that's not what Star Trek was about.
It was the stories, it was the ideas.
Star Trek was not about firing phasers and beaming down and flipping open communicators. It was about these ethical stories and these moral dilemmas and these social issues. And one thing that I noticed was often missing from a lot of fan productions was that substance.
Yeah.
That depth of story that is what made Star Trek Star Trek. So from the very beginning, I told myself, look, if I'm going to do this, we're going to tell thought-provoking stories.
Absolutely.
We're going to find stories that make people think, that address an issue or a particular question. And as soon as you set the bar there, you guys, it's a lot harder to come up with stories, because most fan films are like, oh, I'm going to put on a uniform and I'm going to beam down and I'm going to have me.
It's all visuals and no substance, is what you're saying.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm going to fight the Klingons. Well, that's all well and good. That's all well and good. But I knew that Star Trek was about storytelling.
Yeah.
And if you're going to tell a good story, if you're going to write a good story, you need to have good actors.
Well, your first episode had Micheal and Sarah as Apollo returning from the original series. I mean, how cool! Sorry, but I mean, that's right. But it was so cool having him back. How was it like having the actor from the original episode back? It was amazing.
You guys, I was constantly pinching myself.
That must have been so strange.
I mean, I'm standing there on set, on a perfect set, wearing a perfect uniform, looking into the eyes of Mike Forrest exactly the way Bill Shatner did 50 years earlier. And while I'm keeping my composure and playing the role, on the inside, the 12-year-old Vic Mignogna is going crazy,
Yeah.
It was
really cool.
Incredible privilege. I contacted Mike Forrest and I said, Mike, we have a mutual friend, Barbara Luna.
Yep.
Who played Marlena in the original.
Yep.
And I said, Mike, would you be willing to meet me for some lunch in town here in Burbank? I have an Apollo redemption story. And that was how I couched it to him. And he's like, oh, I like the sound of that. And so so he agreed to come down, and then his wife wanted to be a part of it. So we got her to play Athena, in that first scene when they both materialize on the bridge. It was just a wonderful, what's the word? Christening. It was a wonderful christening of our series to start with something like that included an original cast member.
And actually,
I know you and Bill Shatner are good friends. Has he ever seen an episode of
I don't know.
Continues, or has any of the original cast members that are still alive?
I'm quite certain that Walter has seen one. Walter Koenig has seen one. He really enjoyed it. I know that Nichelle Nichols has seen one because she was sitting beside me in the front row at Phoenix Comic-Con when we premiered Pilgrim of Eternity.
Wow, that must have been brilliant.
I remember the episode.
Can you even imagine? Can you imagine?
Yeah.
It's like I was 12 years old, and I'm sitting there in the front row, and there are 3,000 people behind me in this auditorium, and freaking Lieutenant Uhura is sitting right here beside me. And the entire episode, she would lean over and tap me and go, "How did you do this? How did you do this? This is unbelievable." And she was just blown away by the first episode. And I think that every one of our episodes just got better and better and better.
They did. I mean, well, there's so many. I mean, one of the actors, was it Tom Hanks was the person who said that he saw some of your episodes as well?
Yes.
I know he's not a Star Trek actor, but he's obviously a big actor. And I remember
he's a big Star Trek fan. There are a lot of people in Hollywood that are known as big Star Trek fans. Ben Stiller.
Yes.
Who's the Family Guy guy?
The Oval dude. I forgot his name now.
Seth
MacFarlane from the Orville.
Seth MacFarlane is a big Star Trek fan.
Yep.
Tom Hanks is a big Star Trek fan. Like, there are a lot of big actors who, when they were little kids, they were just like us.
Yeah.
They were not big celebrities. They were just kids, and they loved Star Trek.
When you did the sequel to the Mirrorverse episode, that's one of my personal favorites. I'm a big fan of the original. You know, when I first saw that and the beam through and there was evil Spock there, you know, with a beard. And when you did the sequel to that, I loved the beginning as they're beaming across back to their universe. Their versions are coming back in.
The other half, the other side.
Perfectly. At the end when he did the speech, you know.
I remember as a little boy watching that episode and thinking, I wonder what happened when Evil Kirk went back to his ship. I wonder whether Spock did anything with that challenge that good Kirk gave him. So it was really and a lot of fun to because if you think about it, the Mirror episode, there was only the one scene with Evil Kirk where they were dragging him to the bridge.
The walk.
So there was so much latitude.
Which we hadn't explored. We hadn't seen that point. We hadn't seen the other side.
Evil Kirk on his ship in his universe. And what kind of person is he? He's not just a vicious animal. He has to be conniving and
survive to be in charge.
And smart and crafty in order to ever have risen to the level that he had.
Yeah.
So it was really fun to turn our sets into the
Mirror Universe. Mirror
Enterprise.
That was really cool.
We had to repaint some of the rooms. And
okay.
Yeah, because some of the colors changed from the second season.
Oh, how did we notice that? But you're right, there was some differential, wasn't there? Yeah.
And then of course there was the Mirror logo everywhere
on the doors.
So we hired a company to make those vinyl adhesive logos that we put all over the place.
The raised really backing on the captain's chair.
Yes.
The actual raised one.
The throne. The throne.
It's more like it. Yeah, exactly.
Wasn't there a raised backing on the chair of the Lexington with
Bob Wesley?
Yes, there was.
Commodore Wesley.
There was. Yep.
And they decided to use it again there to delineate between the different, between the bridges of the different ships.
Yeah.
I mean, that was one thing I noticed, which of course would save money, is that you did feature a lot of other Constitution class ships during the series, which I thought was a very clever way of showing, like, obviously, what the other ships are doing. And of course,
Well,
most of the ships ended up in a bad way in the end, didn't they, in your series?
Well, yeah, and you know what? That all came from one very, very important thing. Someone asked Gene Roddenberry shortly after the motion picture came out.
Okay.
True story. In an interview, someone asked Gene Roddenberry why they changed the logo of Starfleet to the Enterprise logo. Because in the original series, it was not the Delta. Starfleet was that boomerang. Starfleet was that boomerang kind of shape. Yeah. And somebody asked Roddenberry why he changed it. And do you know what he said?
Nope.
Because the Enterprise was the only one of the original 12 ships to complete the 5-year mission.
Oh, that makes sense.
Wow.
As soon as you know that, then you start crafting your stories to explain what happens to the remaining starships so that the Enterprise is indeed, in our final episode, the last one to limp back to Earth and barely make it into dry dock.
Yeah.
And then, of course, we created that whole scene with Admiral Nagura where he says Starfleet has adopted this as the new, emblem of, the Federation Council has adopted this as the new emblem of Starfleet, and it's the Enterprise logo.
Do you know what? I didn't realize that the Admiral in the last episode was Nagura, who was mentioned in the motion picture.
Yes.
I didn't know it was. I didn't know that. That's something I've learned today.
Mm.
I didn't know that. That's a nice continuity. Now, going back to some of the other episodes, I mean, I'm a big fan of the 70s Incredible Hulk. And Martin and me often talk about this because he's not quite such a fan. But you had Lou Ferrigno.
He wears sandals.
Lou Ferrigno was in the episode as an Orion. I thought that was brilliant. I just thought that was so cool.
You know what? You know what, you guys? I love telling this story because Louis and I are very dear friends. I love him to death. We've spent a lot of time together. I was at a Comic-Con as a guest, and he was there as well. And one evening, we were in the bar at the hotel having a drink. And Louis said, "What are you working on?" And I pulled my phone out, and I showed him some pictures of our sets. And he said, "Oh, I loved Star Trek when I was a little boy. If there's ever anything I can do, please let me know." And in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, yeah, right. What role could I possibly have for a 6'5" huge guy, right? So I appreciated that he said it, but I didn't think there would be much, I didn't think, you can't just put him in a uniform,
No.
Right around that time, we were writing episode 2. And episode 2 was about an Orion slave girl who stows away on the Enterprise, and she's looking for asylum. And it just struck me while we were working on drafts of the story. I thought, oh my gosh, what if there was a character who actually owned her originally and sold her to the Tellarites, and he comes out to claim his property. And he's not a violent, mean, she tells everybody what a horrible person he is, but then he shows up on the Enterprise and he's all friendly and all smiles and, and seems like a nice enough guy. And when we thought about it, I thought, oh my goodness, this is the role that Lou was born to play.
Absolutely.
Not only does he work perfectly as this big, menacing Orion slave trader, but he's green.
That's the thing I was thinking when I watched it. I thought myself, he must be so used to wearing the green again. It must be strange after all.
Well, and you know what? He tried everything he could to be a different color.
Did he? But you have to be green though, don't you, for Orion?
That's what we told him. That's exactly what we told him. When I met with him, and he agreed to do it, and then we were doing costume fittings in LA and getting ready to go. Every time he would be like, "Do I have to be green?" And I'm like, "Yes, Louis, you're an Orion. Orions are green." He goes, "Hey, just don't make me look like the Hulk." And I'm like, "I promise you, Louis, you're going to be bald with a goatee and like this Fu Manchu mustache with like beads hanging from it. You're going to look so badass."
Yeah.
And he goes, "Okay, just don't make me look like the Hulk." And when he got to our set and went into makeup he asked the makeup people, one last ditch effort. He asked the makeup people if they could make it blue instead of green. And they're like,
And Dorian or something. Yeah.
Louis, no, you have to be green.
Could you imagine Lou Ferrigno looking like an Endorian? Oh, Lord.
A little antenna at the front or something like that.
Oh, my goodness. Yes.
No, that was really funny. I mean,
That's
after that,
Vic, do you have it? Are there any other stories that you have that just kind of ring to the nature and the spirit of Star Trek Continues that maybe folks don't know about?
You know what, you guys, we could stay here all day.
Yeah.
And I mean that with every ounce of my heart. There was so much beauty and so much magic. So many, dare I even say, providential things that happened in our series that made me so gratified, so grateful. The people that came on board, the people that came into the production. I'll tell you one thing about fan productions, you guys. You may not know this, but fan productions, since they're all volunteer, you can usually talk somebody into doing something once. But you sure as heck can't talk them into doing something 11 times. You can talk somebody into taking a few days off work, saving up some money, traveling someplace to be a part of a Star Trek production and not get paid for it. They'll take time away from their families, time away from their homes, once. But once they've done it, they've done it. Check that box. I did it. I'm not going to, I had the experience. It was fun, but I'm not going to do it again. You guys, we had 35 or 40 people in our production, cast and crew. And with the exception of about 4 or 5 people, we had the exact same 35 or 40 people every episode come together in Kingsland, Georgia, and we would take over this hotel and we would come together every morning and shoot all day and have fun and laugh and joke and make something special. Then we would go out at night and take over a restaurant and have dinner together and drink and smoke cigars and enjoy being around each other. And then halfway through the year, 6 months later, we'd come together and take another 8 or 10 days and make the next episode. And it was the same group of people every time. And we developed such a family bond. I miss it.
Yeah.
I miss it. It was an incredibly special thing. And I think the cameras captured that.
I think you're right. Yeah.
I think you can watch it. I think you as a viewer can watch it and you sense something special, but you don't know.
There's a chemistry there. There's a chemistry. Yeah.
Exactly.
It reminds me of environment. It reminds me of like somebody taking the dreams they had as a kid and kind of putting those into, real sets and it's almost like you went, if you had the ability to, you'd have made that when you were a kid, and that's evident.
Yeah.
That's
oh my gosh, evident. You guys, there are home movies. There are home movies on YouTube of me at 13 and 14 years old, dressed in my little Star Trek uniform with little cardboard sets that I built and little communicators that I made. So this was the culmination of a childhood dream for me. And I'll tell you what, I want everybody that was a part of Star Trek Continues, everyone, if they happen to see this podcast, I want every single person in Star Trek Continues, in front of the camera and behind the camera, to know that I am beyond humbled and so grateful and thankful that these people all came together at this particular 5 years in time to make something that I believe is going to far outlast us. We're going to be long gone. And I
was thinking the same thing.
My dream
is not going to be forgotten. It's not going to be forgotten. Vic, I mean, go on.
About the spirit of Star Trek, why do you think and how do you think that Star Trek just seems to have saved so many people? Like, just taken them for when they were alone as a kid, or maybe needed something in their life. Star Trek saved me. Like, what do you think about it that saves people?
I think it's the way it addresses the human condition.
Yeah.
I think that especially when you're young and impressionable, and you're trying to make sense of the world, and you're coming into awareness of the world around you and the challenges and your own insecurities, your own questions, your own relationships. If you find that show at just the right time, there's something very inspirational about it. There's something that makes you feel a sense of good in people, a sense of a nobler virtue in humanity than what we see looking around today. And I think especially as a kid, you idealize the way you would like the world to be, and you imagine that you have friends like Spock and McCoy, and you imagine that you go on adventures, and you imagine that you save the day, or you imagine that you come up with the answer, or you imagine that you help a group of people, or you know what I mean? Any number of things. And Star Trek Roddenberry I'm telling you, lightning in a bottle, I mean, there was something about that series that resonated with so many people. And I don't even know that maybe they don't even know what it was. You know what I mean? Back then, they had no clue. They were just making a stupid TV show.
Yeah.
They had no clue that it would resonate with people the way it has.
I think some people felt and knew it was really special. I remember Martin Luther King talking about how special it was to him, and how he made sure Nichelle Nichols stayed on the cast because she was going to depart.
Yeah.
And it was like the whole thing. You had a Russian guy, you had an Asian guy, you had a black woman, and everybody was big family in a sense. And really, it was all Star Trek. I think is family.
Yes,
and I mean,
it was groundbreaking. It was groundbreaking for its time. It was groundbreaking in a dozen different ways.
As a child, when my parents divorced, and that were there, I don't know, it opened me up to, like, we got it in reruns in the UK. I think we got it about 1970 when it came. It was on the BBC. And when I saw the episode "Let This Be Your Last Battlefield," with the black and white guys,
that was so clever, that one. Yeah,
and Spock destroyed racism in about 2 minutes. But I said, "Well, why do you hate? You both look alike. You both." And I'm sat there as a kid, and I took them views from that, and the things, its virtues, and I've carried a lot of that all my life. I don't know. As a kid, you're like a recorder.
Yes,
absorb it all.
Emotion all the time from your parents, and like you said, chaos, and that were going in like a line in the middle somewhere for you, and it comes like you take the best out of it. I can't explain it, but it gives you something, and some people they don't get it, but a lot of the episodes
had hidden messages which, like the BBC, the TV execs might not have seen. There's a lot of stuff there which people pick up upon, which other people would it would go straight over their heads. They wouldn't be aware of what it's about.
Think about the time frame for the initial Star Trek. It was during the Civil Rights movement.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, and the Vietnam War.
Oh, of course. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
Well, you know what, you guys? Hey, listen. Before I forget about this, let me encourage you guys and all of your viewers. I did an audiobook called "These Are the Voyages."
Oh yeah.
Okay.
There were a set of 3 books written by a man named Mark Cushman that are exhaustive, and I mean incredibly detailed, exhaustive memoirs of the making of the original series. And each book corresponds with each season of the show. And I did an audio book of the first book. Wow. And not only is it the most amazing book, if you're a Star Trek fan, you got to get it, because it tells you so much about the thought processes of the people behind the making of the episodes. And each chapter is an episode, and all of the challenges that they went through to make this episode, then this episode, then this episode, and what was going on with the network, and what was going on with Roddenberry, and what was going on
it's
with...
a real insight into the whole thing is what you're saying.
It's amazing, you guys. And you know what else? Most audiobooks are done by one guy, right? I brought in 80.
80?
80. I brought in 80 different people, including DC Fontana.
Oh.
Wow.
Joe D'Agosta, the casting director. Adam Nimoy voicing his dad's memos. Rod Roddenberry, Clint Howard, Bobby Clark, anyone that was still around. And if they weren't around anymore, I used our Star Trek Continues counterparts to be the voice. To be the voice.
That's
of
a clever idea. Yeah,
That's great.
Yeah.
So like Jerry Finnerman was the director of photography for Star Trek. Jerry Finnerman's passed away, so I had Matt Busey, our director of photography, be the voice of Jerry Finnerman. So when you sit down and listen to this book, you guys, you feel like you're sitting in a room with Gene Roddenberry.
Wow.
And
part of it.
And Bob Justman and Bill Shatner and Leonard Nimoy and Nichelle Nichols and on and on. You feel like you're sitting in the room with them. Grant voices George Takei. And you feel like you're sitting there with them, and they are telling you in their own words about the struggles and the challenges they had to overcome to make the series. Check it out. It's on Audible.
Where did we get it? It's on Audible.
On audible.com.
Grab it.
These Are the Voyages, book 1, narrated by me. You guys, you've got to check it out.
I love it.
I've had people who've read the book and they listen to this. The author, Art Cushman, the guy that wrote the book, when I finished it, he listened to it and he's like, I wrote the book and it was as if I'd never heard this before. He said it completely came to life in a fresh way. I felt like I was right there in the room with these people talking about making the show and building the sets and the challenges with the networks and the actors and all of the things they had to overcome. The special effects companies falling behind schedule, all kinds of budgets.
Yeah.
The author of the book felt like it was all new to him because the audiobook is so fresh with all these different voices. You guys check it out if you can.
I would definitely check it out.
Yeah,
I mean, I'll obviously make sure.
I'm going to order it tonight after this, actually.
And I'll make sure I post a link as well on this podcast. So
I'm going to get it after this.
Absolutely.
Hey Vic, have you ever considered continuing Star Trek Continues or
No,
anything other projects?
You've probably heard me say this somewhere before. I don't know if you have or not, but I've said many, many times. It was my original intention to make maybe 13.
Yeah, I heard that.
Maybe 15. I always intended to make a specific number and to finish the 5-year mission. That was the goal. It wasn't just to make episodes. There was a long-term plan.
Yeah.
Because of things that happened, and I do not want to talk about them.
No, I know we're not going to go there, but I know what you mean. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because of things that happened with other fan productions and things that took place, CBS issued the guidelines that basically kind of changed the landscape of fan productions. And CBS contacted me. They knew our show well. I had spoken with them several times. In fact, they were very complimentary and admiring of our series. In fact, they paid me one of the best compliments I've ever received about Star Trek Continues. CBS told me, you know, Vic, there are dozens and dozens of Star Trek fan productions out there, but there are none of them that the average viewer would mistake for the original series. But your show, if somebody didn't remember exactly what Bill Shatner looked like or exactly what Leonard Nimoy looked like, somebody could conceivably stumble across your show and think it's an official, original series production, which to me, is the highest compliment you could possibly pay somebody, right? And so when they contacted me, they could have said, "You're done. Stop making episodes. Don't release anything else." They could have said that, but they didn't. What they said was, "How quickly can you wrap it up?
Yeah.
We know that you wanted to finish the 5-year mission. We know that you had a finite ending in mind. How quickly can you wrap it up?" And so I talked to my production team, and we kicked into super high gear, and we made 4 episodes in our last year, which is unheard of for a fan production with volunteers and people having to take time out of their lives and writing good stories, all the coordinating that had to be done to get 8, 9, 10, and 11 all shot in 1 year. But we finished the series. So the answer.
And you finished it really well as well. It was finished in a very good manner. Yeah,
thank
really
you.
well.
I would have. Thank you. I would have liked to have done more. I would have liked to have done more.
Can I ask one question then? Obviously, you did finish slightly shorter than originally planned. Any idea of any of the stories that you would like to have made that you didn't get the chance to do? Anything you can share with us, or is it something which?
Well, nothing to show, but I can tell you this: I had 2 other story ideas in mind.
Right.
So I had 12 and 13 in mind. Nothing was ever committed to paper, but one of them would have been a sequel to A Piece of the Action.
The mobs.
I had a vignette. You had a vignette with that.
Yes. Well, no, one of our Kickstarters.
Yes.
One of our crowdfunding campaigns.
Kirkstarters.
One of our Kickstarters. The whole theme was we wanted to encourage the fans to get a piece of the action and donate to help us make more episodes.
Oh, I love that one.
We found the perfect clothing and the car and everything.
What's that noise? That's not me.
Not me.
Hey, it's not me.
Oh,
okay, it's fine. It's gone.
We found those costumes and the car, and when we shot those vignettes, I thought, oh my gosh, we need to make an episode like this. So that would have been one episode idea. Was the Enterprise would return to Sigma Iosha and find that the Ioshians had in fact taken McCoy's communicator apart. They had in fact developed superior weaponry, and it was basically Kirk's fault, so he had to make it right. So that was one idea. The other story that I wanted to do, I wanted to make a humorous, lighthearted episode. Okay. Kind of like The Trouble with Tribbles.
Tribbles, yeah, I was going to say that, yeah.
But not Tribbles, but something lighthearted and humorous. That was one thing that I think Star Trek did very well. They added humor. A lot of people take, fan productions especially, they take themselves very seriously. And yet there was a lot of humor in Star Trek. A lot of poking fun at each other, McCoy, Spock, Kirk, and so I think that's one thing that we tried to work into Star Trek Continues was the humor on occasion. And so the idea that I had for a humorous episode was that Dr. McKenna comes to Kirk at the beginning of the episode and says, Captain, morale is really low. It's been a long time since we've had any kind of shore leave or any kind of a break, and tensions are high with the crew. And Kirk says, well, what would you suggest, Doctor? And she says, a musical.
Oh.
and
that would have been different.
And Kirk is like, excuse me? And she said, I did theater in the academy, and I was in theater productions at Starfleet Academy, and I'll direct it. You don't have to do anything. And so she rounds up people in the cast to play roles in this musical that they're going to put on in the ship's theater. But of course, there is something much more looming that is happening in the background, kind of a thing. But those were 2 story ideas that I had that we didn't get to do.
I'll just quickly ask. I mean, one thing I liked about the show was there was some links to how the series would progress to the next generation, and you introduced the very first ever counselor in Starfleet with Dr. McKenna. Was that your specific idea? Because I thought that was a nice link to how things evolved.
Yes, Michelle, who did an amazing job as Dr. McKenna. Michelle and I were talking about what character she would play before we ever shot our first episode, before we ever wrote our first episode. And I was conceptualizing of how we would do this, what it would look like, who we would involve in it. And Michelle and I were talking about what character she would play. And some of our first thoughts was that she would play Nurse Chapel, or maybe she would play Yeoman Rand. And then, out of the blue, we were talking about wanting to bridge the gap with Next Generation. We redesigned the phasers so that they had they were moving toward Next Generation.
I never noticed that.
Oh, go to YouTube.
I'll have to look at it. I'll have to check that out.
Listen, go to our website. Go to StarTrekContinues.com and look at the first 3 little short vignettes that we made. Because there's one called Happy Birthday, Scotty.
Yeah, that's when you bring them phasers on board in the cargo boxes.
And
they were different on top.
The story is that they beam aboard a case of the new upgraded phasers.
Oh, I see.
And Scotty opens up the lid, and there are dozens of them in a row, and he pulls one out, and we look at a close-up of it, and he talks about the things they've changed. So we introduced that before we ever shot our first episode, because we wanted to hint to the fans.
Slight transition to how it goes on.
We're starting to move toward Next Generation. Our very first episode featured an experimental holodeck.
Yeah, I saw that with the Western. Yeah, I remember that scene. I thought that was nice.
And then we decided, hey, you know what? Ship's counselor is standard in Next Generation, but when did they start that? Because they didn't have one in the original series.
Yeah.
So we decided that we were going to make Michelle an original character who was going to come on board as the first ever experimental ship's counselor. And the first few episodes, Kirk and McCoy are not really sure, what is she doing here? We don't need a counselor. You know, what's the point of this? But then, you know,
as the show progressed, it became more like she's very important. And of course, it was very sad how her character at the end, spoilers.
Well, it was very important. It was very important to the story, because if you think about it, guys, if you're crafting a story to explain why Captain Kirk would ever give up command of his ship and take a promotion, what would have happened? What would have had to happen to make Captain Kirk take a desk job? What would have had to happen to make Spock go back to Vulcan to go to take the Culinard discipline?
Yeah.
What would have made McCoy quit the service altogether? Something pretty heavy should have needed to happen. So what we decided was, probably halfway through the series, we decided we were going to start weaving into this a friendship between Spock and McKenna, not a romance, but a connection, a friendship.
Yeah.
And we were going to build these characters up, knowing full well that these characters do not exist in the motion picture. So something must have happened to them.
Yeah, I love that. That was so clever.
We created these stories where Drake, Ann Smith, Kipley Brown's character, and McKenna were all lost in the final episode. And it was so hard for Kirk to accept, and Spock to accept, that they lost these people dear to them.
And of course, you also had the explanation of why the Enterprise gets the refit for the motion picture, because it's so badly damaged by the last episode.
Exactly.
Well, I've thoroughly, like I said, Been a huge fan of this series. I'm so grateful for you to come on board. Any other questions from anybody else? Anybody else?
I just want, the sets in that. I know there's the one in, is it Terraca de, what can't say?
No, that's not the one. Let me tell you about that. Let me answer that for you, because I meant to say this as well for you guys and for your viewers. We built our sets in Kingsland, Georgia. It's just about 20 minutes from Jacksonville, Florida airport. It's very easy to get to. It's a full little city with restaurants and hotels and everything. And our sets are there, and they're still there.
Yeah, and I heard about that.
We built our sets as a soundstage to shoot a series.
You did a lot of constructions yourself, didn't you? You actually built them yourself.
Yes.
Well, I went down and helped build them, absolutely.
Yeah, I heard about that. Yeah.
Not only to help build, but to a T. I mean,
absolutely.
Me and like 15 or 20 other guys went down there and built them together, but they're still standing. And here's what I want to make sure you guys all hear. Every month, one weekend a month.
Next weekend, actually.
Yes. The owners of the studio, Neutral Zone Studios, and you can look them up online, neutralzonestudios.com. One weekend a month, they open them up for people to walk through.
That's great.
And I mean, people come from all over, and it's free. There's no admission charge, and it's like stepping into a dream, you guys. You feel like you're 10 years old again.
Yeah, I saw that over the pandemic.
Step up onto the transporter platform, sit in the captain's chair.
Over the lockdown, when we were all locked down during the pandemic, you did virtual tours on Facebook. I watched one, and the thing that blew me away, they were all stood outside, and then you opened the doors, and there was that corridor.
Yes.
And I thought, my God, it's one of the corridors, and it was just mind-blowing. It really was.
You guys, one of my favorite moments is standing there with a group of people that have never been there.
Yeah.
And watching their faces light
reactions,
up when those doors open, and they're looking into a television show. Like it's mind-blowing. It's surreal. And I would love to invite all of you and all of your viewers, if there is a bucket list thing, if there is something, I'm telling you, there is nothing like it in the world. If you can make it to we got one in February, one in March, one in April before it gets too hot down there, and then we'll start up again in the fall. But go to neutralzonestudios.com.
Right.
And you can find out all the information about when and where. I go down every weekend. They have every weekend they have the open house. I go down and give the walkthroughs myself, and tell people about the building of the sets, and how did you make that? Where did you get that? And how did you do this? And how did you know this was this color? And answer questions and let people just walk through the enterprise.
Well, on that note, I mean, thank you so much for what you've done for the Star Trek community. Yeah, go for it, Robert. Go for it.
What do you like the current situation with Star Trek? Do you like Discovery? Do you like Picard? Are you looking forward to Strange New Worlds?
Well, let me answer all those questions for you. When Next Generation came out in the 80s, I wanted to like it. I mean, Star Trek had been off the air, right, for 10 plus years. I wanted to like Next Generation, but it just didn't resonate with me like the original series did. Now, I know that Star Trek Next Generation resonated with a lot of people. There are people out there, millions of them, for whom Next Gen is to them what the original series was to me. I get that. I totally get that. And all Star Treks. There are people out there, Discovery is their Star Trek. There are people out there that Deep Space Nine was their Star Trek. Voyager, their Star Trek. Enterprise was their Star Trek. For me, it was the original series. So having said that, Picard's okay. I haven't watched all of it. Discovery is good. I haven't watched all of it. I have several friends that are on it. As you may or may not know, Rekha Sharma
Yes.
Yes, I know. I thought about that. Yeah,
she was in our 8th episode, and 2 months after she was in our episode.
I thought that was so strange when she was back in the original. Yeah, that was strange.
She called me and said, "Guess what, Vic? I just got cast in Discovery." So,
it's the same, Vic. It's like with Doctor Who. We've all got, like, for me, my Doctor Who with John Pertwee, and everybody has a different Doctor.
Yeah, we all have our different favorites.
People like Colin Baker or Tom
Exactly.
You know?
And as far as Strange New Worlds is concerned, I'm looking forward to it. I'm excited to see what they do with it. But here's what I feel about Star Trek, even the new incarnations of Star Trek. And you can quote me on this.
Okay.
Live and let live, guys.
Yeah.
Star Trek is about inclusivity.
Yeah.
Star Trek is about inclusion. It's not about exclusion. It's not about, well, this is the only real one, and you're not allowed, that's no good, and only this. That's not Star Trek. Anybody that knows the philosophy of Star Trek knows that the philosophy of Star Trek is live and let live. Infinite diversity in infinite combinations.
Yes.
Yeah.
So stop trashing people because they like Discovery. Stop trashing CBS because they're making Star Trek that's not for you. They're not making Discovery for me. They're making it for a younger generation, and I get that. And as soon as you come to terms with the fact that they're trying to reach a new audience, then you can understand why they're doing what they're doing, and you can embrace it.
It's about evolution every decade. It's like when I remember when Next Gen started and I rented the pilot episode out because we got it on VHS before we got it on TV,
Right.
And I rented the first couple of the first season out, and it was weird getting used to it. By the end of the first, I was addicted, but because I'd rented out the videos of the original or buying them and reading the books, and then this new thing came along. And Next Gen did get a lot of bad press in the beginning, but then
Sure
look
did.
at
Well,
it. Look at it. It's amazing.
Next Generation was very indicative of the time that it was made.
Yeah.
If you think about it, one of you mentioned earlier, Star Trek was made during the late 60s. And Star Trek was very indicative of the period in which it was made. Next Generation was very indicative of the 80s.
80s, yeah. Of course it was.
Let's talk about our feelings. Let's talk about our emotions and how we feel about this. Hence the ship's counselor. I mean, there was the Next Generation was very reflective of the period it was made in. So my feeling about it is live and let live. Let people enjoy what they enjoy. Allow people to like what they like. Don't trash people who don't like what you don't, who don't like what you like, or vice versa. Live and let live. That's the message of Star Trek. Inclusivity.
Absolutely. I think so.
Tolerance.
Yeah, and I think that, like I said, we all have. I like the whole thing as Star Trek as a whole, but as we all say, people like different aspects. One series more, one film more. You know, it's like Doctor Who, like Martin said, that we all have different eras that we focus on more, which is strange, but it's just the way we are. It's such a big universe.
And you know what? Different people, like you just said, different people have different preferences. And my word to all of you listening is, let them.
Yeah, exactly.
Let them like what they like. Something has happened in the culture that we live in now, where you have to like what I like, you have to agree with me, you have to want what I want, or you must be destroyed. Now, I don't know where that came from, but it's garbage. Allow people to like what they like, just as you would expect people to let you like what you like.
Yeah, absolutely.
You don't need to trash people that don't like what you like. You don't need to trash TV shows just because they're not your cup of tea. Allow people to like what they like, and let people live their lives and enjoy their lives. We don't all have to agree to get along.
No, exactly. It's a big world. We all have differences, but like I said, we like what you have made, and a lot of other people feel the same way. And I think that is pretty time to sort of wrap things up. But thank you so much. You've left a huge legacy for especially fans of the original series. You ended the 5-year mission to the motion picture. And I think that as a Star Trek community, we'll always say thank you so much for that and what you've done for Star Trek and in science fiction in general.
Michael, thank you, and all of you. Thank you, all of you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for taking us on an amazing journey.
It was an honor. It was an honor to speak with you guys. And you know what? I want you guys to make plans to get down to Jacksonville, Florida, and let me walk you through.
I'd love to.
I'm going.
I'd love to come.
I'm going.
Definitely.
And listen, also, you guys, I'm working on some appearances in the UK.
Oh, brilliant. Let us know when. Definitely.
I used to do a lot of the conventions over there. I've been to the UK dozens of times, and I'll be coming back. And if I am anywhere near any of you guys, please come and see me, okay?
Absolutely. Love to meet up with you.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
and
we'll keep that Doris.
And then for all of your viewers, StarTrekContinues.com, all of our episodes, as well as behind the scenes videos and blooper videos and making of videos, are all there free to watch. You can even download the files to burn your own Blu-rays.
And the covers and I've seen all that.
And the artwork.
Yep.
NeutralZoneStudios.com is where you can go to find out about coming to visit the sets.
And I'll make sure that I post links to all these things on the actual YouTube upload. I'll make sure that it's all out there. And obviously, yes, check out all these different things that they're out there for us to enjoy.
That would be wonderful. That would be wonderful. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you, Vic, so much.
Thank you,
Take care.
Thank you very much.
Hope to see you in person sometime soon.
You bet. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Right, well, thank you very much, Vic, and thank you, gentlemen. I think this has been a sensational episode.
Oh, awesome.
I've got
Best
goosebumps.
episode
It's
ever.
been so good.
Thanks
And what a way to have episode 100. And so thank you very much. Any last words before we finish the show, guys?
I just want to say thanks for both turning up, Tom. It's really good to see you again.
Hey, yeah.
I've missed
Thank
you,
you,
man.
Tom.
I've missed you guys a
And
lot,
thanks, Rob.
man. It's been a crazy year for me. Real crazy year.
And also, Robert, thank you so much for joining us for our special show.
Absolutely.
Come back soon.
Tom, when For All Mankind comes back at season 3,
It doesn't say yet. I looked like yesterday.
You got me into that.
Yeah, I like it as well. Yeah. And
did you guys finish The Expanse?
Yes, we did.
Yeah.
Awesome, man. T-shirt I got on there.
Yes.
But Inna's
final episode.
Woo. They did it good.
Yeah.
And Foundation is good as well. We quite enjoyed Foundation.
Yeah, just finished that. Yeah, we did that, didn't we? Have you seen Foundation, Tom?
No, I haven't. I gotta watch that. It's got some great actors.
I think you'd like it. I think
you're gonna love it.
Yeah.
Spoilers, you're gonna enjoy it. Have you
I've
seen
got
it,
a week
Robert?
off before my new job.
No, I haven't.
Trying to finish my book, my last book. I'm just like plugging away.
Well, listen. Actually, tell us about your book. So, how's the book going then? So, you're plugging.
I am close to finishing the third book. Hoping to have it, at least drafted this spring, and then get into editing for it. But it's a little bit at a time since I've got a full-time job and a lot of home responsibilities,
commitments and stuff like that.
Yeah, but it's epic. It is nonstop action and adventure and twists and turns and all kinds of stuff and things like that. So it's reaching its conclusion.
Brilliant. Well, we'll enjoy checking out when you finish it.
Just one more thing. Did you watch Boba Fett?
Oh yeah, it's good. It's up and down.
Yeah,
it's good though. I mean, the deep fake for Luke is fantastic. I mean,
that's getting better.
Yeah, it's funny. Good. It's the episodes without Boba Fett seem to be the ones that are.
Yeah, we said that. Yeah, I know. We said that. I think next week will be I think it will actually all come together next week for the finale.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I don't know how they're going to go.
I think its problem is that the Mandalorian was more like how we imagined Boba Fett than Boba Fett actually was.
Yeah, I do. I can see that.
He's
he's quite soft, isn't he?
He's soft. I mean, the first time we ever met the Mandalorian, he cut a guy in half with a door.
That's right.
Then Boba Fett's all like got a gang of Vespa, teens running around, and I was like, what is this? I don't know. He's not the Boba Fett of my imagination.
Yeah, we call them mods in the UK. They used to go around on Chrome
Mods and Rockers, wasn't it? Yeah,
mods and Rockers.
Yeah. I know.
Yeah.
But apparently that's inspiration from the American Graffiti film that was done by George Lucas. I think there was some aspects of that or something.
Yeah. The problem is when I saw that episode, I was literally watching it saying, "Oh wow, George Lucas would absolutely love this," and I'm thinking that's what's wrong with it. That's the problem.
Yeah. That's probably it.
Like he would think this is the best thing ever.
Yeah, well, maybe he does. We don't know. What do you think about it? I mean, the thing is, though, that because he, as you say, it just doesn't quite work, that aspect of this series. But for the most part, I have enjoyed it. I'm going to wrap things up now. So,
hang on, Robert, I'd just like to thank you for supporting this channel and sharing
Oh
it
yeah,
all
absolutely, Robert.
Thank you so much, man.
I mean,
we
ought to have you on
now
board
with the Enterprise going this way. Is this mirror Michael we're looking at? The Enterprise is going
no, because
going that way instead of this way.
Well, my logo should be the right way around, unless it says Solar One Reversal. So I don't know. Now, listen, I think we finished.
Mirror Universe, Michael.
Mirror Michael. We're going to finish off with some show bloopers, which I used to collect these, so we're going to end up with some bloopers for the show. Thank you so much. Episode 100 has been incredible.
Hey guys,
and we will catch you next time on the Solar One Sci-Fi Podcast. Thank you very much.
Live long and prosper.
Long and prosper.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
How could I have been so completely wrong?
Solar One Sci-Fi Bloopers. This is the Solar One. Oh God, that's the first mistake already. Let's start again. This is the Solar One Sci-Fi Podcast because I'm almost like a Marvel virgin. Does that sound dodgy or what? I don't know what I should put that on the podcast.
I'm not going to say anything. I'm not even going to answer that question.
That's the hashtag for the podcast. Hashtag Marvel virgin.
Marvel virgin.
I don't know what is going on now. Are you on? Oh, right. God. It's just bloody laptop.
The last Colin Baker season, the Trial of a Time Lord. Trial of a Time Lord. Try saying that after a few sherbets.
What's going on now?
There are different. There's two different versions of the actual same show. That's a blooper. Where we've got one this Friday, next Friday, and then I think the last one is oh, hang on, are you there? Oh, bugger! Sorry, everybody. We're just waiting for Marty to come back, and he's disappeared. Okay, let's ring him back. Let's just try that again. Right. Okay, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. Yep.
That's fine. We'll have to do another countdown because I'm going to have to resync it together. So, you ready?
That's right.
Sorry about this. Here we go.
Yeah.
5, 4, 3,
2.
Let's try that again.
It's based on a comic story from the.
Oh,
80s.
hang on a minute. Sorry, my American phone's ringing now, my landline. This is a blooper. On my podcast, I often have people ringing, so I'm making a bloopers compilation. This will actually be added, so it will stop ringing in a minute. Sorry, everybody. This is called a blooper. There we go. Sorry. Carry on what you're saying.
Hello? Hello? I can hear loads of static. Because he's got the infinite sack, he can pull anything out.
Oh. So what's he pulling out of his sack?
Well, that's
That's the worst thing I've ever asked, I think, on a podcast.
yeah.
That's a blooper. Go on. You just have to hope that what happens in Iraq and Iran will be okay. So there we go.
All right.
Okay.
Sorry.
That sounded Star Wars. What was that?
It's been fun. Hang on. Hello? Yeah, can I ask to phone you back? All right.
Oh God. That's a
The other half.
blooper. That's that. If you don't mind, I'll have to add that to the bloopers.
No, I'm waiting for someone to, go. It's always, every time I sit down and watch Doctor Who, somebody phones me up.
Oh no, I'm the same. Once I've actually seen it about 2 or 3 more times. That's that.
Oh, it's my phone.
Oh, fine. This program is brought to you by the makers of delicious Soylent Red and Soylent Yellow. And introducing... fluff that up. Let's start that again.
Okay, all right.
Right, here we go. Bringing you another show talking about podcast, talking about sci-fi and podcast.
What I liked about that, I know he died penniless.
Oh, hang on, my phone's going. Spare me a second. Sorry.
Another blooper.
Yeah, it's another blooper. It's all right, it'll ring. Always rings when we do the recording. Give me a second. It'll stop at about 2 rings. There we go. Sorry, carry on what you're saying. What about... Oh, do you want to do Stargate SG-1? It's a big one. Oh, bugger, he's gone. Okay. He's gone. Right. Sorry, everybody. Let's try ringing back.
Hello, can you hear me now?
All right. So, sorry, we had a technical issue there.
There was a channel on YouTube, the Stargate channel. They put lots of clips up. And
there you go.
what happened was they set up this website, and then they wanted you to pay to watch all the episodes.
Do you want to answer your phone?
I'll phone them.
Blooper. Go on, carry on what you're saying. And it's the Stargate. Oh God! And it's about 10 seconds for us to be wrapping up the show.
Oh, no.
And hang on a minute. It's gone. Right.
He's the scientist that works out how to like undo. They come through.
They come through what? And you're gone. Oh, he's gone. Gone. Okay, sorry about that, everybody. We've had some major issues with my computer, my end. The whole thing's gone down, and we've been running around trying to sort things out. So apologies for that break in our conversation.
Hang on, David. Martin, you sound like Norman Collier with Mike. It's the internet. It's been acting all day. If I reset it, I'll go off air. So I am trying, honestly, but it's been on and off all day, the internet. Isn't 50% Chib's written this his last episode was complete shite. Michael Caine has got a cyborg hand in it as well.
Has he? Oh, that could be useful on certain nights, couldn't it?
Yes.
Sorry, I'm sorry. I'm being a bit.
No,
sorry.
It's a family show.
Yes, exactly. I do. No, I mean when I mean he's good at scratching his head at the middle of the night. That's what I try to say.
Of course.
Exactly. Do you want to move on quickly before our network goes down again to Aliens versus
Predator.
Sorry, Predator. God, you see, I'm so flummoxed tonight. Go on.
But I did I loved these like concepts about him being immortal and now and what when your voice drops out, your temper sounds like a Cyberman. Well, I
and I remember that they do go to the future, but it was very rare. There's your phone again, mate.
I know. You know when they used to land, they're always like rolling on the floor, aren't they?
Yeah, the slow motion rolls.
Yeah. They're in
I always thought that.
thing.
That's all like sort of sound as they're going. Can you do the sound? But I don't care. I don't care about the scientific inaccuracy.
You haven't said what it is yet.
What's that?
The program we're talking about.
Oh no, I haven't. You're right. Space 1999. That's what I mentioned it. God, people wouldn't know what we're talking about. Shall we go into the latest Alien versus? Predator versus. I always say that. Predator versus.
Yes.
All right. Here we go.
There you go.
Hang on a minute. I've got to see my battery. Hang on just 1 sec. Sorry. Oh, bugger. me a second, sorry. Right. Oh. Right. Right. Sorry about that, I had to disappear.
I like you.
I know, I like you too.
Why are you killing him off?
I like you too. Oh, you mean Hugh? Sorry, I'm joking. I'm in a silly mood.
God, we've got a worldwide pandemic and you're in a silly mood.